Choke the old retarded homeless man to choke the old retarded homeless man. Choke the old retarded homeless man. See the life leave his body behind. Choke the old retarded homeless man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, boys and girls. It's Friday the 13th, 2024. Choke the old retarded homeless man. Watch his body shake. Welcome back. We're doing it. Glad you made it. Social production. Yes, it is Friday the 13th, 2024. If you're joining me, if it's your first time, buckle up. Where can you find these videos? On Instagram. Follow me there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get the full-length videos. Check out patreon.com/RobSadry if you'd like to physically, financially support the show. If you've been with me from the get-go, Wagwan, mi familia, everywhere, wherever you're tuning in from. If it's Canada, let's go. Down south in the United States, mi familia, further down south. As per usual, Mexico's over there in the South Americas, over there in Africa, Europe, Asia, Southeast Asia, Nepal, Singapore, Thailand, Zimbabwe, Senegal, Portugal, over there in Italy, over there in south of France, where it's apparently like better than the regular, like France is good all over, but like, you know, they say south of France is the shit. I've never been, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. In the Alps, in the Switzerlands, with the mountains and the monies, over there in Denmark, that's right, the Danish. And the Finnish people, let's not forget those. But everybody, you get it, all around the world, wherever you're tuning in from. Choke the old retarded homeless man. We'll get into it. It's Friday. It's going to be a loose day. Thank you for joining me. Again, if it's your first time, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. If you've been with me from the get-go, it's going to be a loose Friday. We'll see where it goes. Let's have a sip of this bad boy. Caffeinated. Feeling good. Let's get right into it. I'll say this. I'd like to start the podcast, the show, if you will, by declaring we should have, you know, there are many different clubs out there. There are many different clubs, but I'd like to be, if I may, I'm not going to say like, you know, it takes all of us to do this. It's a club for, I'll just say it. It's a regular sized penis club. That's what it is. The regular sized penis club. That's right. Because I've had it up to somewhere around here with small penises, micro penises, and then the large penises. I've had enough. Enough is enough. Because the regular sized penis club, because this is the silent majority. If we're really keeping it a $1.50, regular sized penis club is the silent majority, the penis that doesn't get, you know, as much, you know, limelight as the smaller penis and also the extra large penises. I'm just putting it on the table. It's never been, you know, let's just go through it because, you know, it's small penises, novelty penises. They're fun. If it's slightly smaller, you look at it, it might, you know, and that's the thing. We're not talking, as long as it's smaller than, you know, 6 to 5 inches. Let's just say that smaller than 5 inches. Then it's a novelty penis, but it's still a good working solid penis. But nonetheless, but also fuck those guys. Also fuck those guys because it's a show. You're like, oh, I got a smaller penis, but guess what? You know, I won't ever like, you know, this thing's never gonna like. If we're in the body of water, if we're in the middle of this, never gonna weigh me down. I'm never gonna drown. You're gonna want one of those extra small peen dudes to be doing backstrokes and like, you know, carrying you to safety if God forbid if your ship goes, you know, if you have a shipwreck or if you have a raft that's just, you know, punctured or something. You're like, oh, you don't want some fella with a giant cock because they'll weigh you down. They'll drown first, which sucks. So you know, I get it. You're like, oh, smaller penises, better life support on the waters, which is nice, whatevs. But also, you know, it's one of those things where they're like, oh, a smaller penis, we can go faster, we can go long, we put in more work. They'll say that we put in more work. Where is all the work though? Where is the work? Show the proof. You know, I want to see the work. Not personally, but like, you know, oh, smaller penis is good, you know. And then the large, but who wants a large penis? Ugh, who wants that? extra, anything above 6 inches. First of all, let's just call you what you are. Let's just be honest here. Abnormal, freak, abnormal freak. Nobody really, and that's the thing. It's one of those things where everybody likes to try for a little while, or at least for like, but let's be realistic. You've seen men with extra large penises. Anything above 7 inches, you're a fire hazard. I'll say it right here. You're a fire hazard. That thing will, the building's on fire. The prime, we need to leave the prime. Next thing you know, everybody's tripping over your large cock and falling over. Next thing you know, 321 people burnt to a crisp. Why? Because your fucking wiener got in the way. That's why. So, and you've seen them too. Always, it's fine when you're like younger in your 20s or 30s or whatever. You've seen these elder men in their 90s, hundreds, hunched over with like, they look like a question mark. What's happening to you? Why aren't you walking up straight? I had to, because I had to carry all this weight of an extremely large piece, 7-inch peen. They'll say that. 8-inch peen. Back problems, knee problems, scoliosis, all of it. Do you want to be, it's like, it's great. It's great to have as like something you can like, talk. It's a nice conversation piece, but it's not like good for longevity. I'll tell you that. Whereas regular sized penises, they can, you want them to take care of, build you you want a little hut. A regular sized peen will do that. You want to build a little, cabin in the woods. Regular sized peen does that. You want to, there's some sort of, there's a pothole in the neighborhood. Do I call the city or do I take care of it myself? Regular sized penis will fill that pothole for you. Oh, I want a smoothie. Regular sized penis will make you a regular smoothie. All that. But no, everybody, pays attention to the extra small or the extra large. Enough is enough. Let's get some recognition, and I want the silent majority to stand up hard, stand up strong together, and say that, this is the reliable 5 to 6 inch peen is the peen of the future. That's what I'm standing on. Because I've had it up to God knows where, and I'm sure you're out there feeling the same way. And the ladies, let's be honest. Is bigger always better? Let us, if we can, have a moment of truth and reconciliation, if we may be honest with ourselves. Do you use all of it? You know what I mean? Do you use all of it? No, you don't. Most often you'll hear, I can't even sit on the whole thing. So there you go. You can't even sit on the whole thing. Whereas regular sized penis, or at least the extra small ones, you get to sit on the whole thing. And maybe if I'll even give a little bit more to the extra small penises, because then you have room for the nuts to kind of like be shoved into the vag, which is nice. Whereas you don't get to do that with the 8 or 9, 10-inch cocks. 12-inch cock, that's like having like 2 cocks, which by the way, you're never going to use the bottom half. You're never going to use the bottom half. And I'm just saying, what's the remedy to this? I'll say this: if you're above 7 inches, just grab a sharp object, a knife, just cut it off. You don't need it. It's extra. Donate it to charity. It's the holiday season. It's time to give back. If you've got extra inches, that's what it was meant for brethren to get out there and be like, hey, I'm rocking a 12-inch, whereas there's this fella who's got like a 2.5-inch. Cut off like 6 inches. Cut off, if you're rocking 12, cut off like 5 inches and donate it to somebody who, is rocking a 2.5-inch cock. And then that way you both have average sized penises. There you go. And you're not worried about, I don't know why I can't walk straight anymore. You've seen it. People go and get all sorts of like surgery. They liposuction their tits, because they think that that's the problem. It's not. That's not the problem. The problem is your center of gravity is off. That's the problem. So I just wanted to get it off my chest. I'm glad that we're all on the same page. Again, if you've got an extra large penis, go ahead and just chop it off. It's extra. It's taking up room, causing a ruckus. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. Let's get into it, shall we? Choke the old retarded homeless man and watch his soul leave his body behind. Choke the old retarded homeless man. It is fall winter season and it's booby trapping season. Of course, that's what I like to get up early in the morning. I like to prepare. I like to, know what I'm getting myself into and really look at it as it's not something that, you should be, to each their own. It's just good to be booby trapping, and how do you do it? It's to each their own. I'll say this, for the boobies, they are notorious for coming and going. You never know what's what. They come in all shapes and sizes, of course. How do you trap the boob? Typically, I would say, a net, grabbing a net, a net that you might use for catching butterflies. Same thing. You could use it to catch titties and boobies and trapping boobs. You could, my personal, method, one of them at least, is I carry a bra with me. I carry a bra with me everywhere during, again, fall, winter season, because it's prime booby trapping season. And that's what it is. If you see loose boobs, just, put it over and it'll come to you. Just put the bra right over the tit and, set a little bit of food. Set a little bit of food aside, just make a little trail. Just drop a little bit of, tits. What do tits like? Boobies typically love being sucked on. So a pair of lips, a pair of synthetic lips or real lips, just 5, 6, 10, 20 of them, leading to wherever you are ready to be trapping the boobie. If the titties do see the lips, they will naturally gravitate towards the tits gravitate towards the lips, because they like to be sucked on. And that's one of the other methods of booby trapping. There is milk inside the boobie, and hence I think milk on the outside will always assist you in trapping boobies. I myself, during fall winter season, when it's prime booby trapping season, I walk around with jugs of milk. I just carry, in Canada we have bags of milk. You might have cartons of, we have cartons as well. Don't get all, what do they just carry their milk in bags? We do. Plastic rules. But if you don't have access, or maybe you can get a glass of, a glass bottle of milk, like the old school ways where they used to deliver it to your home. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in some regions of the world are still doing that. Grab a couple of jugs, just carry it around with you, because the boobies will eventually see the milk and kind of just be gravitating towards it. And then what do? Grab the bra, put it over the titty, and it's your titty now. They're loose, they're everywhere. They grow everywhere, under trees. They are, they can be under the sun. Sometimes they'll be indoors. That's the indoor boobie. So I'm just saying there's different methods, but getting up early is one of the biggest, and doing a lot of the work, actually, a lot of it is mostly preparation, in terms of you got to work on your cardio. You have to have cardio, a little bit of cardio. I'm talking, you got to be going for the walks with cigarettes, coffee, cigarettes, walks. These are, if you're not doing, and then all of a sudden you're like, I want to be booby trapping. You're not ready, son. You're not ready for this shit. You're not ready. So get in there, start early, typically before the sun rises. That's prime time when you want to be going out and getting ready. Now, once you have, what do I do with, once I've trapped the boobie, what do I do? The boobies are wild. The boobies are meant to be in nature, and that's the way. You don't want to be some people like to keep them for I'll just hold on to you. Get it, enjoy it, but then also release it back into the wild. That the boobie is a wild, mysterious creature, and it belongs to be free. It's not meant to be, yes, I get it. It's called booby trapping, but it's not like booby trapping for life. That's a different whole that's a different game that we're, but this is booby trapping for, always wear a little bit of, you gotta, stay quiet. You gotta be able to, remain unseen, unheard. They will just, if the boobie, you've seen them, if they smell you, they will run away. If they see you, if they get perky and see you, they will run away. Do not make any sudden movements, because the boobie, again, it's a beautiful creature, and it's a limited time only, so enjoy it. It is, again, it's fall, winter season. Do you need camo? Not necessarily, but it doesn't hinder. It doesn't hurt. But then again, camo, you gotta you gotta do urban camo, you gotta do suburban camo, you gotta look like a, dress up like a mailbox, dress up like a fire hydrant. These are the best areas to catch boobies. Of course, if you're out in the woods, then sure, go with like leaves and a little bit of like, makeup. Do not cover yourself in feces thinking these are like, maybe these are not animals that you're trying to attract or deter. It's a whole different game. It's called booby trapping. And again, get up early, prepare ahead of time, and be ready to stay silent for a really long time. And again, don't make any sudden movements. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. Dun, 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 dun. I was just wondering what it must be like for the internet life, as in, what's life like through the eyes of the internet? How does the internet deal with all of us? Because there's so many of us on the lines. Is the internet the closest thing to a, because, they say if you believe in like, if you believe in a higher power, and, that's the all-seeing or the all-hearing omnipotence, omnipresent everywhere all the time. And it's like, imagine, but that's one of the closest tangible things that we have to that always present force. But it must be a lot for the internet. God, all the questions, I was just thinking about this. 8 billion of us, how many of us are on the internet asking it different kinds of questions each and every day? Like 5-6 billion of us are probably connected to the internet, minus probably the children and like the extremely old. And, so like 3 to 4 billion people online asking the internet questions. Does the internet ever get tired? Where is the internet? If the internet was a person, the internet, it must be just, but then it's the internet. It's, it's got a lot of power, so it's not like a human, but it is interesting. You just, all sorts of, what do I have? You're showing it all sorts of bumps and bruises and, parts of your body that are pussing, like, and oozing and just like, what is this? The internet's like, God, again, with the leaking vag and the leaking peen, enough. Is this a cold sore or do I have hepatitis? What is this? Is this gonorrhea or is it just a rash? How much bleach can you swallow and still be okay? It's like, no bleach, you should not be swallowing any bleach. But is there a safe limit? You come back with the asking of the questions. It's just a lot. It's a lot. I would, it must be just like, it must be, if it was a person, it'd just be, and it doesn't even get a break. That's the thing too, because this thing's like 24/7, always on, from all corners of the world, all sorts of people. What about this recipe? What about this car insurance? What about, what's the good degree to get these days? What, do I go to school? Do I not go to, do I learn a trade? It's like, figure it out on your own. It must be a lot for the internet. I wonder if we should get the internet a partner, because like, is the internet lonely? You know what I mean? Because that's like maybe the internet is, and we don't even know if the internet's a dude or a lady. And that's like, so what kind of partner do you even get them? And you don't even know if they're straight or gay. So what kind of partner do you, what if the internet's a dude and you end up getting like a female internet companion for the internet? And it's a female. Maybe the internet is female. Maybe the female internet. And you're like, I'll get a female companion internet for the already existing, and then boom, there you go. You put up a female internet, and next thing you know, they can't do much. They're just, sure, that's like, it's a friend, but it's not, it's not anything more. It's platonic, and they're not les, unless we make them les. We could make them les. Let's make the internet a les partner. Must be lonely for the internet. I wonder if the internet just kind of like, comes out in the morning before everybody gets up in a robe with a cigarette and just like, has a bite of a donut and a sip of coffee. Oh, let's get this day going. Wonder what they're gonna ask me today. How do I refurbish furniture? It's like everything. How do you groom your own dog at home? How do you groom a dog at home? How do I groom my dog so that it attracts other dogs in the neighborhood so that they can fucking have puppies, and then I fall in love with the other pet owner / dog owner, and then we build our empire of, dog breeding business or whatever. Many 8, 7, 6, 5 billion of us asking all sorts of questions. The internet must be so overwhelmed. Do you ever think about that? I think about it sometimes. just like last night I did, and I thought you might be thinking about it too. But don't worry about it. At the end of the day, it's not a human thing. It's not a entity that lives like us, and so it doesn't get tired in a sense. But you know, maybe the internet, does the internet jerk off? Does the internet, you know, because like that's the thing. A good portion of the internet traffic is for the pornography or the pornos, as they say. Does the internet watch porn? Does the internet finger itself? You know, does the internet have a favorite position? I'm just, you know, I like the internet to be some sort of like, you know, I picture the internet to be some like, you know, I like it to be some, you know, middle-aged like Slavic fella just sitting down in a corner and just, you know, crouching and kind of like, you know, having a drag of a cigarette and getting ready to start the day and, you know, jump start a car and get it going. Listen to some, you know, doomer music and just take it on head first. But that's the internet, and that's life through the eyes of the internet. Nonetheless, we're grateful for it, we're happy for it that it exists, but it is a weird thing that all of us are connected through this one thing, and it's, I guess, kind of like the collective consciousness in a sense, in some sense. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. It doesn't even matter. It's Friday. It's a loose day, baby. It's a loose day. So grab a titty, grab some popcorn, and sit down and relax. What else is going on in and around the world? I believe people are resorting to finding new means of finding connections, making friends. I came across this article I read online. The Chinese, beautiful Chinese people in China, they're going out there and they're hiring climbers. They're called climbing buddies, typically women. But this it just kind of like sparked a idea that I've kind of, I've thought about this before. I'm thinking just because, like, you know, the future is here. We are the future. The job market is evolving. Humans are evolving. Technology is evolving. We're out there, you know, certain things that we did in the past are no longer, you know, they're no longer up to date with our modern, you know, requisites, if you will. So you're going to have to go out there and find new ways of maybe creating money or a business or a side gig, whatever. It doesn't matter. People in China, some women out there are going on hikes, but they are finding themselves to be lonely. So and they don't have any friends apparently. Billion people, and you know, and that's what it is. They want to go on hikes, specifically mountain hikes. So they're going online and hiring gentlemen who are climber companions, professional climber buddies, if you will, and they pay them some money. It ranges from anywhere, I don't know. I'm not going to put a price on it. I read the price, but it doesn't matter. They put a price on it, let's say $50 to $100 an hour, a day. It doesn't matter. You could, you know, you could go lower, you could go higher. But it just made me think that it's one of those things that it's like and it makes sense. We are in the age of a new entrepreneurship, as we've always been, but that's the, you know, new innovation, new ways of, like, you know, connecting, providing a service, being of assistance, services and goods, showing up for one another, being prepared to do whatever it takes to get you through your beautiful day. So yeah, ladies want to go on these mountain hikes, but they don't have any friends or companions. So they're paying men's who would show up and go for walks, and some men would go, you know, they might, you know, and the services are, this is not a pre-existing profession. There's no, so anybody could show up. You could, you know, and you assess it based on the picture, but apparently they say that the better looking the male, the buffer they are, the, you know, the more attractive they are, they get higher pay. And which is, you know, you know, it's, I like the idea because it's one of those things like, you know, could the future be friends for hire? You know what I mean? To do anything with you. And I've heard of this a little bit a while ago as well. I believe that the gentleman in Japan used to do this. I don't know if he's still around doing it, but he used to essentially rent himself out as a friend, you know, for people who are lonely, who need a companion or whatever. Maybe they even got friends, but they want a different opinion on something. Sit around and have coffee for an hour and get paid to be a, you know, an outside voice, companion, friend, confidant, you know. It's nice, be that, you know, it is nice, but it's like, it is a little bit, because what kind of services do you provide? You know what I mean? Like, there's the companionship, there's the part where you listen, there's the part where you chat, maybe you might hold a hand, maybe you might carry a bag, maybe somebody's got a dog that you need to, you know, we're, you know, climbing this mountain and there's this dog, can you carry the dog? Can you carry the baby? Can you, you know, but low key, it is very close to, you know, and we are all like, it's prostitute adjacent. It is hooker adjacent, the way, because what stops you if you're going on a hike with a beautiful fella or lady, and the fellas are doing it now, but ladies could do it too. But if you're a fella and you want to hire a lady to go on a hike with you, I'm just saying, and then you're like, oh, we're just having a beautiful hike, midday hike. I hired you, pay you $500 for the hike. We go walk a little bit, have a little picnic, have a little bit of food, have a little bit of cheese, have a little bit of grapes, and then a little bit of sucky fucky in the middle. A little bit of sucky fucky in the middle. Is that so bad? Is that so, is that part of the, does that get part of, like, is that incorporated into the scheme or the, or the work or the gig? Is that part of the, should you write it down that I also do extra services, extra services, fingering and the stroking and the yerking, you know what I'm talking, the milking and the all of it, and the sucky, could that be a part of it is all I'm asking? Because you go on, essentially they're dates that you pay for, because if because you could always go with your friends or your family or anybody, but if you're going out there and you're like, man, I need a person to hike with, and if they're better looking, I'm gonna pay them more. This is very close to, it's borderline. It's nice, I like it. Just saying, it's a beautiful idea that I saw that's happening all the way around the world over there, and I'm just thinking to myself, for other people out there, of course, if you like, this could be a thing, because you have it for dogs. We have dog walkers, people who have dogs who don't have time for their own, they don't have time to spend with their dogs, or maybe they're, they're corporate people, or they're just busy, their families, they're, running a million different things, and we got these dogs, they're cute, but we don't have time to take them for 2-3 walks a day or a walk a day. So you get these dog walkers. Maybe you could have people walkers. Maybe that could be a thing. I believe, a lot of, and it is a nice job, gig. I don't know what you want to, it's not, I don't think it's maybe it's not it could be a career. Anything could be a career if you, stay in it long enough. So maybe you just become a professional, companion walker / extra stuff. You know what I mean? But again, the beautiful thing is it's always a surprise. You never know what you're gonna get. You might get somebody who's, the best walker, or you might get somebody with who is actually, what if, you might get catfished too. That's what I'm trying to say. You might get catfished, but that's life. Isn't that life? Isn't that half of life? Isn't that, at least 1/10 of life, getting catfished? So it's nice. I saw that and I thought, that could be something if you're out there. You're like, what do I do? I'm a young man in university, or I'm a young lady in university. What could I do to make an extra couple of dollars? Become a hiker companion or a walker companion. Become a social buddy, but for the mucho dineros, for the monies. And again, you're not we all are to a sense. We're absolutely. If you're, we're all selling something in a sense, services, goods, tits. So it's nice. I like it. I don't even know where I was going with that. But again, I said it's Friday. It's a loose day and I feel good about it. So if you're out there thinking of making a little bit of dollars, a little bit of monies, become a hiker buddy. And also, again, remember, going above and beyond is not written in the agreement, but is always, you make eye contact, you ask a couple of, questions, you hold a hand, maybe platonically, of course. The next thing you know, knee deep in puss, getting paid for it. I'm just putting it out there. Think about it and leave a review. That's the thing. People might go online and leave a review. This guy gives the best hikes, but his titty suck it is amazing. What if you get those reviews? Next thing you know, everybody's coming to town and go for walks because you give the best titty suck. You might have not even known you had this gift. So there you go. It's always something positive coming out of our daily interactions, our local interactions together. Beautiful, ladies and gents. What else is going on in and around the world? Of course, it's the age of advancements and the technologies and doing good things. But I also did read another article that kind of low-key a little bit freaked me out, but also low-key I'm glad that it's out there, that it's getting discussed. They're doing this thing. Scientists are having discussions of a new form of I don't even know what it is. It's called, I believe, mirror image bacteria synthesis, mirror image bacteria research. It's very similar from my understanding. I don't, again, I'm not a scientist. it's very similar from my understanding. They basically replicate, bacteria in a cell synthetically. So it's different from its organic, composition, so that we ourselves, we don't have, like humans and animals and plants, we don't have the immune system or the medicines or the, anti-venom, if you like. We don't have any of those to fight it. So they're just discussing this. It just reminded me of a little bit of the gain of function research. Actually, I'm not even sure if it might even just be that with a different name, because that pretty much with the whole spandy pandy that we just had, that was due to gain of function research, and that fucked a whole lot of things up. But they're still doing this, but they're like kind of like, I don't know if they're doing it, but I think they were doing it to a certain degree, but then people kind of freaked out and they're like, whoa, let's pump the brakes, because you never know what's going to come out of these synthetic diseases, viruses, and bacteria that we're not prepared to deal with. What do we do if there's another lab leak? And yeah, it is, and you get to questioning. You're like, man, on one hand, do I want medicine and science to improve and get better and, come out with better, remedies, medicine that will, get rid of an ailment, fix a thing that's gone wrong inside you. Yeah, that's always a good thing. But there's always, science is, I was never, I'm glad that people do it. Yes, I'm happy for all the medicines and like the drugs that are out there that are available that help us with everyday, sicknesses, illnesses. Great. It's great that we have, but science is dangerous. Science is risky, like high level science. You know what I'm talking about? It's like people in labs with lab coats just messing around with bacteria and disease, because you never know. You might just be like, oh, innocent little bacteria in nature, it's fine. Let's mirror image replicate it in a lab. Next thing you know, beautiful bacteria in nature becomes this synthetic monster in a lab. Next thing you know, it's on your face. Next thing you know, you're getting turned inside out. Your asshole's on the ground, just like pulsating, looking at you. You're like, what happened? Exposure, lab leak. There's an alarm going off. People are panicking. Half the population is just running around, foaming at the mouth, and it's zombie apocalypse in no time. So do we pause it? Do we continue it? I don't know. I'm happy that we're at least asking these questions now at this point. And at the same rate, like, do we need to be making other bacteria? Is that necessary? Like, I guess we do. I don't know. Or maybe we don't. Maybe we're good on bacteria. Maybe like the amount of bacteria that we have are good. But it's always about learning more and discovering more, because that's the thing too. You never know. There's always things that we're still always discovering on Earth. You never know. Or is this like, indigenous, plant somewhere that's like carrying, poison that could be also used for medicine. Who knows? But then, you trap it, you put it in a box, you microwave it, you zap it with lasers. Next thing you know, you apply it to yourself. Now you become half man, half monkey. Who knows? You might not. But it's exciting to think about it. I say, let us, if we've learned anything from the past, that we should, that's the thing too, because a lot of that's science. Science will shut shit down if it needs to do research, but then science is good. Science has saved billions of lives all around us. So I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you, and I'll leave it up to you. If you want more mirror image research or gain of function research, leave a comment. If you want mirror image bacteria research in your mouth, leave a comment. If you want gain of function research inside your bedroom right now, if you want your children engaged in gain of function research, subscribe. If you want to, find a new disease, but also make it stronger so that we get sick really bad. Oh, people turning yellow and green and vomiting 24/7. But then all of a sudden, a beautiful scientist gets to come out of a lab in like 3 months and say, I found a cure. You're like, we didn't need one if we didn't mess around with these bacteria, but I found a cure. It's good. Do it. Don't do it. Do it. I don't know. I'm torn. So if you want a new disease that's better and synthetic, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, start using your mouth to pick up items in and around the neighborhood so that you build a good immune system. You want to expose yourself, so when they release something accidentally, wink, you're ready for it or something. I don't know. I'm just wondering, because you never know. It's better to be on your toes and be a little bit skeptical than get caught off guard. let us lest we forget getting caught off guard. You want to be caught on guard. It's the thing that I thought about, and yeah, it's interesting that we're doing this in science. So keep doing it, but like, but do whatever that makes sense. Let us. I think we're all gonna we are becoming. The more I think about it, we are engaged, and I think I don't even know what to make of it. I think it's just like, I think it's transhumanism, all of it together. It's just like, I think we are eventually, because that's the way it seems like it's heading. And then I'm not saying tomorrow or today, but eventually I think that's the way. And I remember a few years ago, are we all transhumanists in a sense? Like, think about the food that we consume, the biology that we have, the way it's evolving, the way it's being shaped. Are we transhumanists? Should we be rooting for transhumanisms? Essentially all of us becoming one kind of entity, where it's like, what is the best, most optimal version of a human being? And it's like a, unification of human flesh, maybe with some sort of technology or / technologies. So that we just become transhumanists. Are we transhumanists? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that one, but it doesn't matter. Because again, it's a loose Friday. So choke the old retarded homeless man tonight. On another note, on a beautiful positive note, a story that just kind of like went inside my heart, and it kind of like, it started fucking on top of my heart, and it made my heart kind of like shine from the inside. It made me happy. It's a beautiful story about a couple, the world's oldest couple to get married, aged 102 and 100 years old, inside a Philadelphia nursing home. I forget their names, but it doesn't matter at this point, because we're now knee deep in this story, bitch. The oldest couple just set the Guinness World Record for the oldest newlyweds, and it just may be, because that's what it is, baby. Love's love. Love doesn't understand, You're like, sometimes you're like, oh, is it too late for me? Boom, right there. There's an example. It's this never too late for you. 102, 102 and 100 years old. So they just hooked up. They've been together for some time, and now they're going to be shagging as newlyweds. So if you're out there thinking, oh, the love is best when young love is best. Young love it's debatable. Let's see what is best. Young love is good. It's obviously, it's new. It's you don't know what it is. So you're like, oh, let me hear it. Just take this and deal with it. And then you grab somebody else's heart, and they're like, here, have mine. So which is nice. And then everybody's like fumbling and squeezing, and there's blood all over the place, and feelings and emotions, and a lot of jizz and vaginal fluid is involved. That's young love, reckless, but also fun times. The thing is, yeah, you get to a certain age, you might be like, oh, is it, does love exist at 102 beyond, after a century? And yes, that's a beautiful example. I like to take that and say to myself, at least, that it's never too late. And one day there will come a time where when I'm good and ready, and I just wanted to, because it's all these things, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to hear that kind of story. There's always room for love and finding somebody out there. If you're in the market looking for someone, I'm sure there's somebody out there for you. So let this old, wrinkly, beautiful couple be an example, a shining example that you can find love at any moment, at any time, that it's never too late. It's never too late. It could always be too early. You could always find love way too early. You could find, imagine like if two babies falling in love. That's, you can't even do anything. You can't go anywhere. Both your necks are like, flipping back, and you're basically at the mercy of adults. So you can't really, so that sucks. So it could be too early, but it could never be too late is what I'm trying to say. Also, old love is good because like you've seen it all. You've already had your family. You've already had your spouses. They've already died. You've already had kids. Your kids are full-blown adults. You have grandkids, which is kind of like nice because like at that age, you have no more responsibilities. Kind of going back to like, your younger days, whereas like you've done it all. And is old love the most pure form of love? Did we just kind of like moonwalk into something together? Is old love the best form of pure love? Because like you've had your businesses, you've had your trials and tribulations of life, you've gone through the money makings, you've had your downtimes, you've had your ups, you've had so much experience, and now it's like 102, 100, or anything like 80s, 90s. And then you meet up and hook up with somebody and they're like, they get you, your wrinkles kind of like, you make love and your wrinkles kind of like, fit together like a mysterious human Lego figure that, your wrinkles kind of like, you go into each other's indents. It's like you start reading each other like Braille, and it's like, oh my God, we don't even need to talk. You can just touch each other and the wrinkles will tell all the stories. Be sure to use moisturizer. Of course, you don't want to be removing moles from one place to another, because at that age, a lot of moles, a lot of different blue, yellow, green moles. You just want to keep everything intact for as long as possible. But that's nice. There's no more set expectation. It's just like, let's get down to business. We're in a nursing home. Let's get married and let's just bone. You know what I mean? Let's just break a couple of hips tonight. Let's go get double hip replacements. How fucking romantic is that? Whereas in like young love's good too, but young love is like, let's build towards the future. Whereas like when you're 100, when you're 102, if you're like 80 or 90, everything's like, it's different. It's different. You've done it all, you've seen it all, but there's still more to discover, a new form of love. But yeah, I guess it's more laid back is what I'm trying to say. And I think that comes along more so with age. I'm telling myself to make myself feel, yes, things come a little bit easier as you age, but also fucking sometimes things come at you like a kick in the nuts. So that's aging right there for you. You never know. But the moral of the story is that fall in love anytime you feel like it, if that's the thing that you're doing. But then again, yes, I just want to share that message. And thank you for this beautiful couple to going out there and like register, because they could have done it on the DL. They could have just kept it to themselves, but they set a record. And it's nice, it's inspirational. I love it when I see older people in love and you ask them how long you've been married, they're like 57 years. And I'm like, oh, this relationship between you and your old wrinkly spouse just made me really hard. So thank you for sharing that, ladies and gents. But that's just love. It's that season. So keep that on the back of your mind and think about it out there. If you're single or if you're in love, shout out to you. It's doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, what else is going on in and around the world? I believe Time Magazine just gave the Time Magazine Person of the Year. I believe Donald Trump is the Person of the Year. Let's go. Well deserved. It's been, man, what a journey. What a story. So many ups and downs. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love seeing, it's inspirational. I don't know what Time Magazine and Person of the Year, how do people get selected to be on Time Magazine's cover and be a Person of the Year? Two very interesting questions. First of all, let's dissect it, let's unpack it together. Time Magazine, what is it? It's made up of two words. One, time. Second, magazine. One is basically it's a man-made concept. Time doesn't exist but it does, so we made it. So it's involving people who are punctual, but people who are also like fashionably late too. Could also be like anything that has to do with time, keeping time. 60 minutes, people who are good with time. 60 seconds, milliseconds. A millisecond, they say, could save a life. The millisecond is the difference of saving a life and losing a life. When you're on the whatever situation you are, you're on the front lines of saving lives and losing lives. A millisecond could be all the difference of saving and losing lives. You can save a life and queef at the same time if you have only a millisecond to queef and save a life. But if you blew it, you blew it, then you don't get to queef and save a life. But that's time is essentially, a measure of distance, a measurement of space-time. It's one space-time, they say it's one thing. So it's a measurement, it's a form of measurement. So one, there you go, it's a form of measurement. Time, it's a form of measurement, so that's one thing. Magazine, it's like a book. It's like a book, but it's not quite like a book. It's like not a novel, it's not science fiction, it's not fiction. A magazine is just like it's not a brochure either. It's thicker than a brochure. Definitely has a front page. It comes with a back page as well. Advertising, articles. It comes with articles. So there you go. People who are into space-time management and into words and advertising and front and back covers, and not hardcover either, just like soft cover. So there you go. And then person of the year, of course, is the other component. How do you get selected to be person of the year? You can't be person of the hour. If you're just like, I'm in it for the hour, then sorry, you can't be. You got to be a person for the entire. It's a year-long thing. This is not a. I don't know what Time Magazine does with their persons of the years. Do they like capture the person of the year and hold them for a year in their magazine vault? You sick bastards! How many people have you captured? How many people are you holding in your dirty vault? So it is a yearly thing. Let's focus on that. And yeah, so if you're like, I'm a person of the day. I can kick ass in it. Well, it's not good enough, son. Not good enough, ladies. You're like, oh, give me a week. All I need is a week. Still not good enough. You're the person that's like, I'll go, a month. I'll do a month. I can do a month. This is person of the year, son. Let's be very clear. Person, it's 12 months. It's a long, it's a many of fortnights. That's a many of sunsets, many of sunrises. That's a lot of full moons. It's a lot of howling. It's a lot of, going after this 12 straight months. So you gotta be 360. If you're not in it for 365, then there you go. You don't get to be person of the year. But also, like, it could be anybody. So if you're a person, it could be you. And if you had experiences with days and you're like, I don't know if I can do a full year of time, then take it a day at a time. Take it one baby step at a time. Take it again, month at a time. Keep adding to it, and you might fall short at some point, but that's okay. Come back, because there's always more time until there isn't, of course, for whatever reason. The whole, everybody's got a limited time. But all I'm saying is, so those are I just want to kind of clarify. If you're like, how do you get on? If you're like, want to get on? If you want to, that's the thing. Figure out what it is that means to be punctual or good with time. Get involved with magazines, all sorts of magazines. It doesn't, it's not a bad thing to get like Sports Illustrated, a Playboy, Penthouse, Reader's Digest. Get all of them, kind of like, I don't know, lift them, kind of like flip through the pages, read it upside down a little. If people see you reading magazines upside down, they'll be like, oh. So there you go. There's person of the year. Congratulations. Hell yeah. Makes sense, dude. The assassination attempts, the old school legacy media going after him for so long. It's it's nice. It's nice. I don't, it's, there you go. There you go, ladies and gents. So person of the year. Yeah. What else is going on? I heard great news. Travis Timmerman, an American man, has been released from the Syrian prison, which made me kind of like wonder, is it better to, because of the whole toppling of the whatever, their regime, the old regime fell, new regime, and who knows what will happen. It doesn't matter, but a beautiful American got released from prison in Syria, which made me question, is it better to go to prison, locally or internationally? What's the, the pros and cons of this battle? Going locally is like, it's good because like, at least where you're at, you speak the same language. That's all, unless you don't talk, then you don't speak the language, unless you're like a mute, or if you're like deaf and blind, then you really if you're deaf and blind and a mute, it doesn't, if you're silent and you can't speak, and if you're deaf and blind, you can't hear, and you can't, then it doesn't matter. But we're talking about the vast majority of people who can speak and see and hear, or verbal. So going locally is, at least you're familiar with like what kind of, you don't know because you've never been, and hopefully you don't go. I don't hope this or wish this on. Yeah, I would never, I wish nobody ever goes. But there is a question, like, if you were to go, would you rather go locally or internationally? Locally, again, at least like, oh, I'll find, maybe a gang or a clique that you can like kind of like fit in, or maybe you want to do the stint kind of solo. It doesn't matter. But those, the good thing is, at least with like local prison or jail, you can get conjugal visits. I think you get to have a little bit of like, because you might have a girlfriend or a boyfriend who will come in and like get a little bit of private time. And by private time, I mean like a room where you get to have sex, but there's probably like cameras on you, right? I don't know these things. Do people, like, they say you get private time, but is there really private time? Would you want a convicted murderer to have private time? I don't know, but I don't know how it works. But then yes, there is a chance if it's local that you might still get a visit from a lover, which is pretty nice. That's one of the most, it's not the best environment, but it's a form of sex that many people don't get to experience. So for those reasons, I like to say that it makes sense to go locally. Or you have family or friends who might, bring you cigarettes so that you don't have to sell your asshole to get cigarettes. There you go. You have you could. I'm not sure if you're going to be forced to. So that's prison is hardcore sometimes, and you hear stories of things, and of course, it'd be nice to have the option of like, I got my own smokes. They're like, no, we insist. You must get smokes from us. You're like, I don't even smoke. I think it's best if you anal. So that's prison locally. Sometimes, I don't know. I've never, it's one of those things. But then like internationally is a whole different ballgame. Internationally, you don't know nobody. Most likely you don't speak a language. You might locally, you might internationally, like you might speak a couple of words or sentences, but most likely you don't. If you do, that's great. If you don't, then it's like, then anything could lead you to a cigarette/anal transaction. You might just be like, you hear a bell, you think it's lunchtime, next thing you know, again, it's cigarettes, anal. You might be, but at the same rate, there's an argument to be made for like international prison too. One could say that going to prison internationally is the most effective way of immersing yourself into a culture. You've gone into the culture, like the culture, if it had a vaginal opening, you've gone full body insertion of your body into the vaginal opening of the culture. You are embedded inside the womb of the culture that you're visiting. That's probably one of the best methods of like getting, if you want to pick up a language, go to prison in another country for 7 months, learn another language. Oh, cultural exchange like never before. It sucks in a sense where you don't know which gang to choose from, like which gang, because like they're all different and you don't speak the language. So, do you just go by, because like, do they even have like, because like gangs, you in certain parts of the world might be like race-based. In certain parts of the world where it's specifically mostly one ethnicity, and depending on your ethnicity or like your skin color or whatever, you might either fit in completely or just like be the only one who's standing out like a sore thumb, which and in that case, like if you blend in and kind of look like you belong, it kind of works, because if you stay silent, if you don't say much, you can just kind of like roll up and grunt your way around and just like whatever. If they say smoke anal, then you smoke anal. If they say, it's whatever, it's prayer time, but then like smoke break/anal break, then you break for after the prayer, of course. Then, but like if you're a different shade, then they might, even if you stay silent, they might kind of like pick up on the fact that you're diff. Same, of course, but diff. You know what I mean? So there's always pros and cons to all of it. At the end of the day, if you're visiting someplace, if you're traveling abroad for, different regions in the world, I've always said this: if you're not going to prison internationally, you're not really traveling. Because a lot of people are like, I like to stay at the resort. Do you really know the place that you've been to if you're just staying at the resort? And some people will like to say, no, I leave my stuff at the resort and I take a little backpack or just my wallet and my loose change, nothing fancy. You don't want to be flashy, and you walk around and just immerse yourself in the culture. Backpacking, some people will call, and that's still, there's levels to everything. But if you really want to like get in touch with the culture, the prison is the best way, really. Some solitude, some new friends, some homies, some people who know people probably, and learn to braid in a whole different way. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Learn how to make different, do different parts of the world, make different kinds of like shivs and shanks, and you can like if you've had prior prison experience, you can like, trade a little bit of knowledge, if you will. So that's nice. I'm happy. Hell yeah. Freedoms for the for Travis Timmerman. It's good that I believe he went there for a pilgrimage, which is like, that's yes. So I'm happy that he's free. That's good. That is good. And nothing should deter you from traveling to places. Certain places in the world. There's never been actually, as a matter of fact, like if you're looking for a vacation destination right now, the Middle East is looking good right now. Take the time to travel, I say, and it's vacation season. A lot of people are like, do I go vacationing when it's on vacation season where everybody's going, or do I go off time, like winter time or like, summertime, depending on whatever the on or off season is. But if you're looking for locations, man, Middle East, top vacation spot right now. If you're like, I want to try something a little bit more, of the Orient, North Korea, let's go. Bring it and go there and just, good things will happen, I'm sure. Ladies and gents, what else is going on? Of course, I believe it's, this story is, I've heard about this one, but then I also had to think about it. But let's just get into it. But before we get into it, choke the old retarded homeless man. Choke the old retarded homeless man. Choke the old retarded homeless man. Watch his life leave his body behind. Choke the old retarded homeless man. I believe there was a case that happened sometime last year. I believe it was 2023. Daniel Penny, if I remember the names correctly, Daniel Penny was a dude. And then there was another dude on the subway. I believe this was, I forget which city it's in. I think it's New York, doesn't matter. Some city somewhere over there. Daniel Penny went on the subway. And then there was another man who also got on the subway. Jordan Neely, if I remember correctly. Jordan Neely was a homeless man who got on the subway, and apparently he started to cause a little bit of ruckus. He started to cause a little bit of like, just maybe throwing items, kind of like, making people feel uncomfortable. Maybe seeming a little bit threatening at the time. And some people were afraid of losing their life because allegedly all of this, because I don't know, but apparently people got scared and something had to be done. And that's when Daniel Penny stepped in and kind of like put the man in a chokehold position and stayed on top of him or something. I don't know the deets, to be honest with you, but eventually he it's a sad outcome in terms of like what happened after, because one individual died. I believe Penny was the choker, Neely was the chokee. There we go. Neely was the choker. Neely died. And it's one of those situations where you got to ask yourself, what do you do when life throws you a homeless man or woman in a confined space? What do you do? First and foremost, let's just remove the confined space area. If you are faced with anybody, whether they are homeless or not homeless, if anybody seems like a threat, the best practices I would say walking away. If somebody seems really like off their rocker, if somebody seems a little bit like walking away is probably like the best option numero uno. Walk away if you have space. Get out of there. Leave it all behind. It's somebody else's problem now. There you go. Put your headphones back on and enjoy the world you're living in. It's beautiful. So yeah, if you have the space, walk away. If you don't have this, if you're in a confined space, that's a whole different ballgame. If you can't walk away, and there's like a baby somewhere maybe there's a couple of ladies with babies, and then you're the only dude, or maybe there are a few other dudes, but like the other ones are, maybe one is a big dick fella who's got scoliosis, who can't be of assistance. and another one has got an extremely small penis who he's using as a conversation piece to hit on one of the single moms. And so everybody's just like in their own world, and you're out there and you're like, what do I do now? Do I kind of like, do you sit back and let this either homeless or housed person who's a little bit off, like do you let them like get up in your space or other people's space? Maybe he seems a little bit threat. So it's a good question to ask. What do you do? Again, best practices, if you can, if it's not in a confined space, walk away. Confined space, it's best that you, oh man, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. It is a toughie. But hindsight's always 2020. I think we could always say that, what, there needs to probably be in confined spaces like subways, there should probably be police officers. Because I'm just thinking, if there were police officers on the subway, they could have just handcuffed them and it could have just been like, done and over with. Very easy. You bring them to a corner after, you get off at a stop and like have a conversation, figure it out step by step. You know what I mean? You cuff them, you put a, that's due to, I guess, funding. It goes back to funding. So fund the cops, but fund everybody. I've always said that fund everybody needs more assistance. The homeless people need assistance. The police need assistance. Reg citizens need assistance. Everybody needs to, because he's walking in there, I don't know, saying stuff like maybe, I don't have a job, I don't have any money, throwing stuff, chucking, spitting, who knows? I wasn't there. You read a little bit, and then people end up losing their lives. And it's horrible because it sucks, because there's a young man who had to kind of like, I guess, step up. You make a decision. What do? Do you just like, be a bystander and let something cray happen? Or do you get involved? And how involved do you? And that's the risk too. Why would again, so if you have the option, always, that's what I say to myself. And I try to, I never look for any, so I'm not that guy. I don't look for any sort of, I'm not a confrontation, trouble, never, ever in my life. And I like to keep it that way, always. So if you have the option, walk away. But if you must get involved, choke an old, retarded, homeless man. I don't think it was old, but it just does add to the song. The moral of the story is if it comes push to shove, then choke an old, retarded, homeless man. Watch his body shake. Choke an old, retarded, homeless man. He's no longer breathing. Yeah, what do you do? That is, I think, best practices, officers. Hire officers, let them hang upside down from the ceiling of the subway so they're not noticeable by most people who are not paying. And most people are on their phones, and they're in their phones. Maybe they're reading a book. Maybe they're, most people got headphones on. Most people are like preoccupied, heads down. If you put the officers like bats hanging from the ceiling, shit pops off, the officers will lower themselves from the ceiling of the subway. Sure, it'll take them a couple of seconds to get like the blood flow back to their like, because they've been hanging upside down for some time now, or maybe they're just like hanging kind of like horizontally, so it's like all the blood is in their back or on their tum-tum if they're facing face down. Nonetheless, they'll need a few seconds to kind of like recalibrate and get the blood kind of pumping through. But after the few seconds, nonetheless, it'll be like handcuff city with tasers and batons. And maybe if need be, a little bit of pew pew right there, you know what I mean? So hire more police officers so the responsibility doesn't fall on the individual, because I feel bad for that dude right there too. It sucks. You got to put a person in a chokehold thinking you're helping somebody, next thing you know, you just, you ended up, so that sucks. But in hindsight, I don't know, people are like also torn on this. So I do, what would you do? God, it's such a hard question. I hope none of us ever have to come face certain situations like that. I'd say if need be though, you do need to step up and like choke an old retarded homeless man. Let's not kid ourselves. If it's becoming like cray threatening, then you need to, he's not guilty anymore. So I believe we found him to have done the right thing. So the moral of the story is that if you're on the streets, watch yourself. Cause it's on now. Choking old retarded homeless man.